let's talk about Stranger Things. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Theater Zach 22. And I know this is a little different than the videos I've posted previously since starting my channel, but I did say I was going to post a bunch of random stuff, and plus this is my channel, I can do what I want. So today, I wanted to talk about a little theory that I've kind of, I don't want to say, I've come up with some of it, building off of other theories as well that are already existing theories that are out there that, to my knowledge, are common knowledge. So, yeah, with all that said, I don't claim to have come up with all of this. Most of it is, like I said, common knowledge. I'm just building off of it. So one of the things that you might be familiar with and probably have seen out there already is that a lot of people are saying that it all started with Will and it's going to end with Will, and I think that that's true, especially considering the final episode of season 4. By the way, before I forget, if you have not watched Stranger Things yet, consider this your spoiler warning. I will be talking about probably every season, something from every season. So if you have not watched it, go watch it and come back. Please come back. I need the views. But anyway, so yeah, spoiler warning. I will be talking about everything. So at the end of season 5, Will touches the back of his neck, indicating that he is still being targeted or connected some way to the Mind Flayer and the Upside Down. So what I'm thinking here is that at the end of the season as well, Vecna is back in the Upside Down and he's hurting, like he's hurting bad. So I think that there are two options that they could do here. Because I think that Will is going to be... people are saying that Will is going to be the bad guy, and I think that that is true to a point. I think that they're going to attempt to use Will. So, getting back a little bit, one of the things that I think could happen is that, Vecna, like, if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, you might be familiar with what I'm kind of talking about. They call it Norting, which is essentially just, like, putting yourself into other bodies, or cloning yourself, or possessing another body. So I think that they're going to Vecna could try to like Nort or take control of Will's body as like a new vessel, because the one that he has, 11, messed up. And people have already pointed out that there are so many similarities between Will and Vecna, or One. I'm kind of blanking on his actual name, but number 1 / Vecna. They've pointed out tons of similarities, like the sketches. They've both drawn the Mind Flayer, both being like weird kids and like outcasts and like quirky and things like that. Aside from like sexuality, because clearly Will is gay, and if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but the evidence is there. And that's not even the point. Whatever, that has nothing to do with it. So forget about that. This is a theory. Anyway, so one, I think that because Vecna is hurting, he's going to try to like take over Will's body and like use that body now. Because for some reason, the Mind Flayer chose Will first. In season 1, he went after him first. And there's still that connection there. He's attempted to possess him multiple times already. So, since he still has that connection, you can tell when he touched the back of his neck that there's still something there. I think it's safe to say that, like, he's still a target. So what I think they're going to do is they're going to try to use Will, but Will is going to, like, fight it off. You know what I mean? But so, they could, Vecna could possess him to use his body to, like, push his mind out and like fully take over, but then Will kind of like fights back and everything. Or the other option that I thought would be pretty neat, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen or heard anybody else talk about this part. This is the part I'm talking about. Like, this is my theory. But I think that the Mind Flayer could like discard Vecna, like now that he's basically been beaten by El almost twice, maybe. First when he was sent there, and then second at the end of the season when he, they had that fight. So he could like completely discard Vecna at this point, like number one, realizing that L11 is now too powerful and he can't beat her. So I think it's possible that he could just like kill Vecna himself and then try to possess Will, because he's more powerful. If the Mind Flayer could easily do that, especially if Will is weak and still connected. So with that being said, I think I think Will getting possessed is going to happen. It makes sense. It just makes sense. The connection is there. The Mind Flayer went after him first. So, and if it all goes back to, it started with Will and it's going to end with Will. He was the first target. He's going to be the last vessel. So I think that Will getting possessed is going to happen. And here's what I think is going to happen, because if he gets possessed, clearly he's going to have some sort of like psychic powers, just like 11 does, and just like 1 does. Because that's just how the show is. It's written. That's gotta be a given. So I think the only way to like wrap this show up in a comfortable way that would please pretty much everybody with only a little bit of sadness is, here's what I think, is that Will, like up at the very end, like the big fight is happening or it's over and like it's the end of the series right before, because they also have mentioned that part of the season is going to be like years later at like the graduation, which I'm not entirely sure if that's 100% accurate or not. Like I said, I haven't done too much research into other people's theories other than just what I've casually seen around me. So if that is common knowledge, forgive me. But if that's the case, then the only way to wrap this series up is to completely cut off the connection between the Upside Down and the real world. And I think a good way to do that is, if what I'm saying is accurate and Will gets possessed, is that after after he's like fully possessed and like he's attacking and like hurting his friends and everything, but it's not really him. I think that he might gain like some of his consciousness back and like be able to push out whoever is in him, whether it be Vecna or whether it be the Mind Flayer or whoever it is, and try to like force them out. And what's going to end up happening is that he's going to stay on the Upside Down side while 11 is on the real world side, and they're going to both close the Upside Down, kind of like in Kingdom Hearts as well. I referenced that as a Kingdom Hearts reference as well, where they stay on both sides of the door and lock it from both sides, because it just makes sense. If they're wrapping up the series, season 5 is the final episode that will ever exist. You can't leave it open-ended like that. You can't still have a connection to the Upside Down. And so if Will chooses, if this is actually, if I've got it right, and he stays on one side and 11 closes it on the other side, another thing that I thought would be a very interesting thing is, because they've set this up since season 1 as well, I think that Joyce is going to jump over to the Upside Down as well, because as the gate is closing, we're going to see that it's Will. He's back in control. He's, closing the gate. 11's going to pick up on what's going on, what he's doing, and then, everyone else around is going to notice what's going on, and Joyce is going to take that opportunity to, like, jump through and be with him and stay on the other side. Because if there's one thing that this show has proven, it is that Joyce is dedicated to her family. And that's just clear from the first season. We've seen what she's done. We've seen what she's willing to do for not even her family, for the people who are important to her. So Will sacrificing himself, gaining power back over himself after he's been possessed and taken over and hurt his friends and killed people, him staying on the Upside Down side to close it, while 11 stays on the other side to close it from that side, to close it for good, and Joyce slipping over and staying with her son, just makes sense, right? It just seems like a good idea. Yes, it's sad. Yes, it's whatever. Joyce is like one of the best characters in this show, but it does. It's a mother fulfilling her duty. She's protecting her son, and if he has to stay over there, she's going to do it from the Upside Down. Yes, it's going to be sad, provided that Hopper is still alive. He's going to, it's going to be a sad moment, but it just makes sense, and I think that that's a good way to wrap up the series, because then the Upside Down is completely closed. Then Will, who has pretty much just had like the crappiest hand dealt to him throughout this entire series, getting kidnapped in the first season, getting possessed in the second season, kind of not doing much for seasons 3 and 4, but then ending with him as well, being like the final boss. I mean, maybe the Mind Flayer himself could like put himself into Will, and Will becomes the ultimate being, and like that's, you know, that's what the creature could end up being. I'm not entirely sure. This is not a fully fleshed out theory, which is where my next topic comes in. If you think that this is something that is actually possible and, you know, a good theory, let's build off of it. You know, drop a comment, see if it's, you know, something that you think that there's something I left out, things that I have missed. You know, let's build off of this. I think that this is I think it's a pretty solid theory, and it is just a theory, a game theory. No, sorry, don't sue me, Matt Pat. But I think it's a pretty solid theory. So if you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. If you want to help me build off of this theory, just comment. That would be great. And I think that's really all I have for this one. That's pretty much all I have for this so far. But what did you think? Did you think that it's a good theory, a bad theory, whatever it is? Drop a comment. That would be great. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. I'm trying to raise money to build a theater in my hometown, and I could use all the help that I can get. So if that is something that tickles your fancy, I'm sure you know what the subscribe button looks like. All you got to do is push it. And I think I'm going to start leaving off these videos on a positive note. So with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time. What's a positive note? Even though I personally may not love you, somebody out there does. All right. Have a good day.